Good morning, good morning, good morning, Eagle Warrior Nation, also known as E2 to the ground. Da-da-da-da. E2 to the ground is Coach Kevin Kearns, Burma Kearns, MMA corner with a Boston accent. How you like that Boston accent? You can't tell it's Burma Kearns. Get enough swag on? Oh, I got to go this way. I always confuse this. So my buddy, but his name is Buddy, but his name is John, brought me on to do this. And he says, hey, you want to run a podcast? I'm like, okay, why not? So today we have a very special guest. I've had the honor, let's put that straight, the honor and the privilege of knowing this man since 2007. He is known as the Irish Hand Grenade under many other names. And Marcus, the Irish Hand Grenade Davis, or Marcus Paul Davis, is a legend in the field. You better believe it. He started in his boxing career. Let's read his stats, shall we? Let's just read his stats. 1973 born, was on Ultimate Fighter 2. Okay, I thought it was Ultimate Fighter 5. Let's read the stats, okay? 5'8", fight weight 171. Southpaw, Team Sit Your Tongue, of course, like me. Team Sit Your Tongue, Mark Delagrati. He was active from 2003 to 2021. That's right. He just fought recently and kind of got screwed. We're trying to get the money on that one. Well, he is. Professional boxing record, 20 total, 17 wins by knockout, 12, only 2 draws and 1 loss. Kickboxing, 2-2. Total wins, MMA, 35 total fights, 23 wins, 6 by knockout, 10 by submission, 7 by decision, 11 losses. Not a bad goddamn career, okay? 4 children, married to Laura, great person. Originally from Waterford, Ireland. All right, the man, the myth, the legend. I mean, I've been privileged to know him for a long time. He is one of our Burma Kearns master coaches and the whole bit. I'm going to try to make sure that he has the link. Let's see. Make sure he has the link so he's ready to go because he's teaching. Let me know if you got the link. Ready to go when you now his time is limited now. Let's go. Let's see. What Buddy doesn't know, my buddy John does not know is we are lucky enough going forward. We will have several people on the show. Next week, our schedule is to have, I'll tell you right now, Tim Scott, who was an Olympic Taekwondoist at 17. Muay Thai guy now. He's a friend of mine from Colorado. He's coming on. Week after that, we are getting the legend, George Georgel. Yes, the man, the myth, the legend out in Cincinnati, Ohio, who is another one of my top shelf guys. Great guy, fun to be around. You know, most of his fights won by stand-up, which jiu-jitsu, he could have just blown them away. And you know what? He didn't do that. That's not what he did. He just did his thing. So Georgel will be on as well. That will be 7/11, I believe. 7/11, because obviously the holiday after, nobody's going to be around. And then on 7/17, the week after, is it 7/17? One of those dates, we're going to have Mr. Nick Pete on, who is the owner of Fight Disciples, and he was the editor-in-chief of Fighters Only, Train Hard, Fight Easy, and Train Magazine. Now he owns the number uno podcast, number one podcast in fight podcast, combat podcast, and all of the UK. Hats off to Nick. He's been a friend of mine. God, again, 15 years. Now, the interesting thing about Marcus, when I first met Marcus, he couldn't stand agility ladders. He's like, what's this? I tripped on the ladder the whole time and then kind of figured it out. Goes, okay, this is what this is. Great stuff. Loved the ladder after that. He even got his degree. I believe he's got his degree in movement therapy. No joke. That's what he's doing now, too, as well. And he had to move from Biddeford, Maine, which is really cold, down to, I believe he's in South Carolina, North Carolina, but we'll find out in a couple of minutes. I know he's down south because of family business. So that's what he had to do. So all in all, great guy, great teammate. I'm going to throw in a link. See if I can do this. Some of this fun stuff. I don't know if we can pull this off, but I will. Showing some of Marcus's fun stuff that we did together. Let's see. Nope, I spelled it wrong. Come on, Kev. There it is. You guys can check out this link. This was a promo that we made, Marcus, George, and I, that we made for UFC.com. Okay, we made that for UFC.com. My DVDs were actually on UFC.com. No joke. No joke. Of course, we'll throw this out there too because Johnny doesn't mind. Yep, check out the new book. There's Light in the Tunnel, How to Survive and Thrive Depression. Yes, believe it or not, I've written 2 books, going on my 3rd. Yes, that is a fact. I don't know why people want to listen to me. Kind of like you guys right now. Why do you want to listen to me? I don't know. It is what it is. Chat is open. I believe we are live. Do we have a private chat? If you want to post a comment, that's fine. Post a comment all you want. I know you can hit Davis's website. I will put that up right now. Put it up right now. Okay, let's just copy this. Let's pull up Marcus's website. And I'll put that in the chat as well. I know he just launched the website. There it is, Marcus-Davis. There we go. I will put this in for everybody. Nope, that is not what. No, that ain't him. Maybe it's Marcus Paul Davis. I'll find out when he gets on. No big deal. All right. As always, you can check out my website, www.burnwithkearns.com. There you go. Now, some interesting information about Marcus that a lot of people don't know. He was fighting Paul, I think it was Paul Taylor. I remember the fight, Paul Taylor. And the guy was a great kickboxer the whole bit. Never occur, wait a moment and then retry. Okay. An error occurred and, he was fighting Paul Taylor, great kickboxer the whole bit. And it was the beginning of the first round. Marcus took a shin kick to the face. I'm watching it going, holy crap. And you hear Mark Delagrati, our coach, going, pull guard. And I think Marcus at the time was maybe purple belt, maybe purple belt, maybe brown belt at the most. He wrapped him up the whole 9 yards, wrapped this guy up, ended up getting him in a triangle choke. And when he raised his hand, Marcus is like, he didn't know for 15 minutes he won the fight. That's how tough this guy is, okay? No joke. Marcus can take a battle axe to the head and, nothing will happen to him. Nothing will happen to him. He'll just keep going, just keep going. Because that's what he does. Just so everybody knows, this is not coffee because I make coffee. Nervous. That's the truth. If you want to check out Marcus's career, you just look up Marcus Paul Davis. Okay. Real simple. Marcus hopping on right now. Give him a minute. Johnny John, he should be on any minute. Let's see. Irish. Here's a good one. The Irish hand grenade. Technology nowadays. Thank God Johnny's running this behind the scenes because I have no clue what I'm doing. Done. Pick him up for yourself. Let's make sure he's coming on because he's just finishing the class. He literally took a shin kick to the neck, was on Queer Street for the next, 10, 15 minutes. Didn't even realize he won the fight. Literally didn't know. He won the fight. It was great. And, we had a saying when we were It's on. Yep, there he is. Let's see. We'll bring him on. Boom. Yo.
Hey, what's up,
Yo.
Kev?
How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Outstanding and improving. All right, everybody. The man, the myth, the legend. I'm not even going to think what that thing is hanging from your rearview mirror.
That's my wife.
You never cease to amaze me. Are you frozen? You're
Yeah.
frozen. You're frozen for a second. Did you make that?
No, she actually got it for me as a gift. It's her with a pair of headphones on, making a kissy face. So I'm the luckiest man in the world, though. My wife is a superhero. She's awesome.
She is a superhero, but so are you.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Come on.
Especially nowadays.
Why
No.
would you even say that?
Yeah. I feel good right now. Things are good. I went through that surgery and I had a real, just a horrific, time because I had that fight in November and they never paid me, still haven't paid me. So I'm like 7 months and I still have not been paid by Premier Fighting Championship.
Throw it out there.
And
Fuck them.
the commission hasn't helped at all. Massachusetts commission's turned their back on it. They're not doing anything. They're a bunch of crooks. They're government crooks. They have her $50,000 bond that could pay me out of that. They're just not going to do it. And but anyways, and then I don't know if you heard, but then after that, I was having some issues. I've always had issues with my neck, but my C5, 6, and 7 had all three herniated completely, and the 6 had herniated so bad it had actually cut through part of my spinal cord. What? So it cut through the beginning membrane of it, but they caught it before it got deep into it. And so they ended up cutting out, doing a disectomy of my 5, 6, and 7. And then they had to rebuild my 6 completely. Oh. And then they put a posterior plate in there and some tension screws and stuff. And then I was absolutely garbage for like a couple of weeks. And I'd gone into a lot of atrophy. But now I've bounced all the way back. I'm in really, really good shape right now, where I was pretty scared there for a little while that I was going to get stuck, and not be able to train as heavily as I was before. But now, today I've already got my training, and I trained at 6 a.m. this morning. Yeah. And, and in the last month, in 1 month, there's only been 4 days that I haven't trained. So I'm back at it.
And Marcus, what are you now? 48?
I'm 49. I'm 40. I'll be 49 in August.
Nice. Well, guess how old your coach is on Thursday?
Oh, you're hitting the big 50, aren't you?
Dude, 56.
Oh, no. I didn't know that. I thought you and I were the same age.
Baby.
Yeah, look at that.
Huh?
Yeah. All right. I got to give you the right. I'll give you the right. I can't zoom in. Got to move the wife's head. I can't. Where is it? Right there. There it is.
Marcus, go back in time a little bit with me. Tell me the first time that you met Mark, that whole story where you used to say that kicking's for girls and what happened that time.
Yeah. So I had just fought Thiago Alves, and I fought him in a local Boston card. Used to be run by Joe Maffey, who back in the day was just an awesome guy. And Joe Maffey of the Integrated Martial Arts Development Center actually really got me hooked on Jeet Kune Do too back then. But anyways, he had this fight, and I fought Thiago Alves, and I got gypped on a decision. It was a real good fight, but thought I won. And but afterwards, my legs were so beat up from leg kicks. So you got to remember, this was like 2004. Right? I think this was 2000. I think this was the year 2000. So yeah, 22 years ago. And I I had never been kicked in the leg back then. So, I mean, he had just kicked his shit out of my legs. And I talked to Joe Cav, who was my manager, and Joe Cav said, well, I got the guy to take you to. He does Muay Thai, a guy named Mark Delagrati. And I'm like, all right. So I go in. He brings me there to meet Mark. And at this time, you know, I was a raging alcoholic for many years, and I had not yet quit alcohol. So, and I was pretty unstable. Like, as far as like, if you pissed me off, we were going to fight. Like, I just fought all the time. You know, and people that know anything about my history, like when I was a kid, I was homeless at like 14. I'd been arrested so many times that I got put in a juvenile detention center, and it was all for fighting mostly. I mean, there was some other stuff in there, but I was just fighting people all the time, fighting grown men. I used to hang out in front of this bar called Judy's when at 1 o'clock in the morning when I was 14 and 15 years old. And I used to pick fights with the drunks that would come out. I tried to get them to fight me. So I was just crazy. And so Joe brings me to meet Mark, and, you know, Mark's talking to me. And at that time, Mark was really small too. He wasn't like as big as he is now. And he had those glasses on and that hat that he wears. And, you know, and he's telling me, like, he's being really respectful, and I'm being a prick. And he's like,
not you.
Yeah, so listen, man, in order to like learn how to stop leg kicks, you know, to learn how to check kicks and learn how to like evade them, you got to really understand how to kick. Like, how to kick in Muay Thai, you know, is different than like other martial arts. And I looked at him and I said, dude, I'm not kicking. Kicking's for girls. And he looks at me and he goes, did you bring your sparring gear? And I said, yeah, I brought my sparring gear. I go home, I can spar with. He goes, you'll spar with me. And I looked at him and I kind of, in my head, I'm laughing. I didn't do it out loud. I wanted to, but I'm like, all right, man, let's do this. We'll spar. And in my head, I'm like, I'm going to kill this guy. Like, I was a pro boxer at the time. I'd had 20 professional fights. The only fight that I lost because I got a massive cut and they stopped because of the cut. And I had a massive chip on my shoulder. And so we got in that ring and we fought for 11 rounds. We did 11 3-minute rounds. And I was so beat up again. I couldn't believe this was happening. And he just kicked. He literally started kicking the shit out of me, hit me with some knees to the body, and just it was horrible. And he said at 11th round, I'm sitting there getting ready for the 12th, and he goes, you good? And I looked at him and I said, yeah, I'm good. I go, teach me how to kick. So I started learning how to kick. And so now it's become, anyways, you know, deeper into my career, I started kicking a lot more. And now, you know, when I spar and stuff like that, I don't do a lot of it anymore, but I obviously am still active in sparring and stuff. And when I do, I kick quite a bit now. You know, it's become something that I really like, especially with the left leg, because I'm left-handed. But
yeah, exactly. You always like that inside leg kick too, to soften up the front leg.
Yeah, the inside leg kick and the left kick, obviously, to the body, because the liver's on that right side, and so throwing that left kick to the body is really nice.
So you moved down to is it North Carolina, right?
Yeah, I live in North Carolina now. I'm actually in a park called Cary. This is where I work. I work for a giant franchise called Rockbox, and I'm the head coach here. And I'm going to be taking over, like, training all the coaches that work for this part of the franchise. Yeah. So I'll be like traveling. Right now, the franchise, the guy that bought into the franchise here, he owns 5, and we're opening 15. And so I'm going to be kind of going around and making sure that the trainers are doing what, know what they should know and stuff. And then after I complete getting a few of these up and going, we have an agreement that I'll be a half partner in one of the locations, and so then I'll take over that location, and I'll probably still be traveling around and doing stuff, but I'll have a GM working under me running that location. Hopefully my wife. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but
Let's, if you don't mind sharing that with us, I know it's a little bit of a sensitive subject, but you and I have been friends since what, 2007 now?
oh, at least that, yeah.
So
I would say at least that.
I remember you telling me, I know Laura fairly well, and I remember she got Lyme, and one of the reasons why
Yeah.
she moved south was because she was so sick. Even at 35, she was basically ambulatory by a cane, and you had to move down from Biddeford, right?
Yeah, from Bangor, Maine. Yeah.
Yeah, from Bangor, Maine.
Yeah, so she did. And we think she probably got it. From what the doctor said, she probably got it in somewhere around 2009 or 10. She didn't get really diagnosed with it until I want to say it was like 2013. So it had gotten so deep into her that it was, in her brain. It was real bad, and they started all the treatment. And she couldn't walk really. She had to walk with a cane. I mean, it was horrible, and it was like, for me, it was like one of the hardest times of my life to watch her try to sleep, and in her sleep she would be moaning in just excruciating pain, and to lay next to her and have to hear that, she'd be asleep, she wouldn't even know she was doing it, and have to hear that and know that there was nothing that I could do. So
I appreciate you sharing that and being vulnerable like that, because you and I think the same way, because these other men out there that think that vulnerability isn't strength is wrong, right? I mean, you read
I was one of them. Yeah, I was one of them that thought that too. And so, since I've had children, I've softened up a little bit, but really recently, the last, I would say, probably 2 years have really, really changed me as I've gotten older, and I see what's really important. And, I have 4 children now. They're all adults, except I have one left that's 16 so, that changed me a lot, that experience. And then, as I've gotten older, a lot more. But then she started a series of, she was taking Rocephin, which is a horrific drug that just tears apart your body. And we didn't know that at the time, but it's volatile to that, to Lyme disease, to those spirochetes that, cause this Lyme disease, but it wipes them out. So she was taking that, and she was taking doxycycline.
Oh.
So Rocephin monthly was $1,800 a month,
Yep.
and doxycycline was $300. And she was seeing a private doctor, and he was $250 an hour. I mean, it was just unbelievable amount of money. None of it was covered by insurance. So we were paying cash for all this stuff. And, but anyways, it was worth it, because she came back out of it, and now she's unbelievable. She's so, my wife is the most beautiful woman to me that I've ever laid my eyes on. And she's right now I'm training so hard. I've got my 8-pack abs back. I'm real lean. I'm real muscular, but I only got that way because I felt like I had to keep up with her because she looked so friggin' good. And after having that surgery, and, I've been just feeling I was kind of depressed about everything, but
brother, I know
seeing
Laura.
her has made me, what's that?
I know Laura. The only way Laura's going to leave you if she kills you.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that that's true. I would rather, and I mean that sincerely, that I would rather than her leave me or lose her. I would rather she killed me. That's how much she means to me.
That's important.
And
You know,
yeah,
I appreciate that because I think, as you know, I mean, you were at the high and then you hit rock bottom and the whole bit. And you and I have both seen it in the business, right? Especially in your business or my business, right? Oh, what, you know, it's like Matthew McConaughey would say in his 13 Truths. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? We've seen plenty of guys in your business and my business go fuck around, go screw around their wives and everything else. I'm like, dude, it's, what do you know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I never did. Not one time, ever. When the whole time that I, you know, and I'm not saying like, hey, I'm the friggin', you know, I'm this great looking guy or anything, but, you know, I had many times where I got phone numbers, I got, you know, people, you know, I've had ring card girls, I've had all that stuff approach me, and, you know, and I immediately just said, not interested.
Yep.
I'm a married man. And,
one of the things I'll be honest with you, as a good friend of mine and brother, I've always had the most respect for you because your integrity and your honor and your loyalty was always fucking.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Always, brother. Always.
Yeah, I think that if you don't have that, right? If you don't have any integrity and any loyalty, what does that make you? I mean, who would value, right? People like pride, which is something else that I've obviously struggled with. Who doesn't? But pride comes from, you know, believing that you're better or you're, you know, better than everybody else. Or that you should be treated special or whatever it is. But what that doesn't, pride and stuff, that doesn't mean how other people view you, how other people see you. And, you know, as a kid growing up, I had that mindset that I didn't care what other people thought, right? I really didn't. But that did help me get through some stuff too, not being worried about what other people think. But now I'm in a place where I'm like, I really still don't care what everyday people think of me, but I do care about the people that I love and the people who are important to me, what they think of me. And I know that if they love me and they respect me and they find me to be an honest, honorable guy, that they will always treat me and love me and defend me if I'm not around when people talk about me. Well, Whereas I'm in that if they didn't, yeah, exactly. And if they didn't love, or let's say they feared me, if they respect me through fear, that's only present when you're present. When you're not there, the fear's not present. So what people do is people conspire against, you know, these guys that try to rule by fear, and, you know, you're going to get backstabbed. It's really hard to hurt somebody you really love. It's really easy to, you know, cause harm to somebody that you're afraid of.
Well, one thing I've always respected about you since day one, since we met, we've always done business like, Marcus, what do you need? Coach, what do you need? Marcus, what do you need? And I mean, how many times have we done business together?
Yeah, a bunch of times. Right? Yeah, I tell people all the time about it. Yeah. Yeah,
and I'm like when I brought you in for MMA Fighter Fit, I'm like, what do you need for the weekend? I go, how's $5,000? You're like, okay. I'm like, all right.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's still out there, and that's a testament to, and you know, we know certain people from, you know, from Sit-Your-Tongue that weren't honorable, and that we, you know, that fucked Mark over in the whole bit. Wait, I got a present for you. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. So Marcus, so here's what we're gonna do, huh?
Yeah.
Who's that? Yeah. Huh?
If it's a little darker, then you'd have it right there.
I know, yeah. But man, I'm Irish. It's gonna be Scotch blue. Now, Marcus,
yeah, okay.
Share this with everybody. I'm gonna take you back in time a little bit. It was 2015, maybe 15 to 16. We're at Fight Medicine, and you said you got your genetics. You got your genetics checked.
Yeah.
Tell people what they found, what you really found out that you were actually the genetic breakdown that what you had.
Right. So now, and everybody will like everybody who's worried about conspiracies and stuff are all like, you shouldn't do that stuff because, they're, using your DNA to do whatever and everything. But I'm like, whatever, by the time they by the time they figure out what they're going to do with my DNA, I'm going to be dead anyway. So, the, I've done now 4 different DNA tests to see how accurate they are, and they do come back different. So they're not super accurate, but there are some things that have been, the same or pretty similar, right? The percentages are always off. But at that time, like, I basically got back, that I was as white as you can be, number one, and it was because everything in me was from the UK, basically, except for one part. And it was all, Scotland was the highest, Ireland was next, then England, Wales, and Scandinavia, because the Vikings were running around raping everybody probably back, way back in the day. So,
but brother, don't forget this. But you were
what's that?
Don't forget
what's
this.
That?
Remember what you shared? You said, I'm actually Scottish, and I'm actually 3% Neanderthal.
That's right. So that's the other part. So it came back Eurasia. So I had this thing come back and it said 3% Eurasia. I'm like, what the hell's Eurasia? So then I look it up and I found out it was Neanderthal. And then I'm like, what? And then I went and I had other, and they all came back that I had that Neanderthal. One came back at 2%, but then the other one was 3%. And then I had before my grandfather passed, which was years ago, I actually had his done so I could have an idea of his too. And his came back that he was he was 4%, but he was over 4% Neanderthal DNA. So that must have been one of the main places that I got it from, probably also from my own father and somebody else too. But
exactly.
anyways.
So now, the reason I bring this up is, I don't know if you remember that skit because I still have it on video. What my buddy Scott was there.
Yeah, I do remember it.
So
me making the Frankenstein face and
we breathe fire bad. But if you remember, an hour later, we're in front of 200 doctors, and you brought it up. In the first 10 minutes, I'm like, oh shit, he's not going to do this right now. I'm actually 3% Neanderthal. I go, here we go.
Yeah, and then when we went out to lunch. This female geneticist that was there came over to me and she said, that was funny, that crack you made about being 3% Neanderthal. And she said, did you know that they actually now have found that people actually do have Neanderthal, have some, but it's very, very little. And I said, yeah, I know, I was serious. And she goes, you were serious that you have 3%? And I said, yeah. And then I opened up my phone and I went to the thing and I showed it to her and she goes, wow. She was like, there's really not she goes, I haven't really seen people or anybody that has this much. So I believe Joe Rogan came out and said he did too. I think Joe Rogan came out and said that he had 3 or 4% Neanderthal in him. So
now I appreciate that. We're going to take a little time travel. Okay. I don't know what area it was. I don't know if it was Manchester or Liverpool. You're at a fight. Okay.
Yep.
And you're fighting, I believe it was Paul Taylor. Remember the fight?
Yep. Oh yeah.
So he was a good kickboxer, the whole 9 yards, and it was probably 1:30 in the first round.
That what?
Shin kick right to the jaw.
Yeah, I think it was probably that 1:30 in. So we were just brawling and banging, and I had gotten him against the cage. I was hitting him with some shots. I clinched with him. I hit him with a couple knees to the body. Then we broke away. And he probably picked up that every time I came in and I hit him with a combination, as I stepped back, and I thought it was because in my head, I'm outside a punching range, but I forgot it wasn't outside a kicking range. So I hit him with a combo. I came out really low. And then as I came out really low, and as I stepped back and I came up, I brought my head up, my hands were down a little bit. And then the right kick came over and caught me in the brachial plexus back here. And when every time you get hit there, right, your whole body on that side kind of freezes. And I just kind of collapsed. And then he jumped on me and started hammer fisting me in the face. The referee ran over and was going to stop the fight. And then he saw me kind of pull myself together.
Yeah, because all I heard was from Mark going, pull guard, pull guard, pull guard. and you wrapped him up, and
Yeah.
you
And
ended
then
up.
I wrapped him up, and then I ended up kind of trying to sweep him, but then got to the wall, and I wall climbed up, and then as soon as I wall climbed up, I shot like a double on him, and then didn't really get it, but I ended up tripping him up and getting him on the ground. And then, I I passed his guard. I took side mount. I started really beating him up in side mount with elbows and punches. And then I mounted him and started raining punches down there. Then he bucked and bridged and started to turn over. And then I started to fall over, and I was starting to fall back into guard. But as I was transitioning and falling into guard, I walked my feet around and leg over the head, and I got an arm bar on him. And that was the first time in UFC history that somebody double bonused. So I got fight of the night and submission of the night for that fight. And that was, the UFC told me that was the first time that had ever happened.
And I remember you sharing this with me. They raised your hand. You were kind of still on Queer Street. You're like, what the?
Yeah, coming out of it. Yeah, it was still, foggy and stuff, but
now,
Paul Taylor was a tough guy. Like, he had some crazy fights, man, in the UFC. He never fought anybody and just got beat up. Like, he went the distance with Chris Lytle. He went the distance with Chris. Let's see.
You said Chris Lytle. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Damn it. I can't believe I can't bring it, because I fought him too. And he went the distance with him. And when he fought that other guy, he was, the guy was undefeated. And then he was undefeated till I fought him. And then I beat him by submission in the second round. But yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Now let's jump back. When you first met me, I remember the first time you went in the agility ladders and you fucked them all up. And you're like, I don't know this stuff. And then you were convinced that it was all about heavyweight. And then I kind of changed your mind about that, to the point where you got your degree too in movement therapy, right? Yeah,
I got in biomechanics. Yeah, I'm a BMS. I'm a biomechanics specialist. And now I'm like a ninja on that friggin' ladder. So I show, like, my son's a trainer also. He's not technically right now. He's not, because he just got a job as a coder. So he's coding for a company that is partnered up with EA Sports. So my son's coding for all those video games. But I used to challenge him and like show him these different ladder drills and some that I just created, and try to get him to be able to figure it out, and help my footwork and everything tremendously. So yeah, it was a great tool.
You were always a big fan of that. I remember one time we came in, and remember the ladders were all jumbled up. About a year later, like, oh, no problem coaching like this. They're like, we used to do this all the time.
Yeah.
We figured it out in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Untie the ladder.
I know you speak to George on a regular basis. I know George is going to be on the show in a couple of weeks. There was some definitely funny ass times with the two of you.
Yeah. George and I were real close. We still are. We don't talk as much as I wish we did, but we message every now and then, and we comment on each other's posts and stuff like that.
Well, one of the things, not to interrupt, I want to share with others too in the audience is, as good as you are, as tough as you are, the whole 9 yards. The character part is what always stands in my mind with you. And I remember this. You always gave everybody the benefit of the doubt until they crossed the line.
Yeah.
AKA, I probably shouldn't bring it up, but who cares? Matt Hamill. And
yeah.
The time that he kind of blew you off and you were like, I'm not letting that up. You just kind of don't do it. It's like, I remember you telling me that, hey, I'm Marcus Davis.
I put my hand out and I said, hey, Matt, nice to meet you. Marcus Davis, I loved you on the show. Congratulations, you done great. He looked me in the face and he goes, psst, and then he turned his back and walked off. And I started screaming at him. And then the guy next to me goes, hey, he can't hear you. I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot. So, and then it came out, though, that if anybody's ever been on what's called the Underground, it's the MMA Underground. People share all this stuff. All these companies came out and posted that he had stole money from them, that he had contacted them and used the disabled card and said that he, needed money for training camp, wanted them to front him cash and money so that he could train. And they send him all this money. And then when it came time to fight, he didn't wear anybody's logos except for the people that had not given him cash yet.
Yep.
So, and I knew his uncle too. So his uncle actually worked for George Gurgel at one point. And his uncle told me all this stuff about him too. And when he was at George's, so Matt Hamill went to George's when they were doing a grand opening as an appearance. And there was a boy there that was a fan. And the boy had been wrestling in high school for a long time and asked if he could wrestle with Matt a little bit and actually got a takedown on Matt. Matt got so mad that he ended up picking the kid up and spiked him, dropped him on his friggin' head, which could have ruined that kid. Exactly. And then his excuse to everybody, he told everybody, oh, it's because I'm so strong. Like he's trying to say that he's so strong he doesn't know his own strength. And so anyways, guys like that, to people like that, those are your typical bullies. Those are the guys that I used to get in fights with in school all the time, were the guys that would find people that they knew that they could beat, and then they would just do that. They would just pick those fights.
I think that was one of the probably the attractions to you and I working together. Like when you found out my whole backstory, losing my dad, getting picked on, the whole thing, right, and coming out of it. Not to mention the new book. Always. I know you were kind of in shock when you read it.
Yeah. No. There's a lot of stuff. Like we have different backgrounds, but still similar. Like I didn't have a father figure in my life either. My mother was twice divorced by the time I was born, or when I was a child. So she divorced my father by the time I was 4 years old. And then she remarried one more time, and that guy was a weakling, and he was not a role model at all. And he ended up cheating on my mother, and so they got divorced. And so she never, after that, she lost faith in men, and she never remarried again or anything. And she passed. She's not alive now. And I haven't spoken to my father since I think the last time, I think he called me in the year 2000, I think. And I told him that if he ever called me again, that I would find him and I would hurt him. And he hasn't called me again since.
Brother, that's not like you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, yeah, my father was a horrific person. Like, the only vivid memories I have of being under 4 years old are him beating my mother. That's it. And I have a vivid memory of him beating my brother pretty bad. And then I have one of him hitting me, and he liked to turn his college ring around so the jewel would be here, and he'd slap you in the face with it. And he hit me with it when I was, I think, 3. And I was in the back seat of the car, and my mother jumped out of the car because he was getting out of the car. And my mother picked me up, and my father chased us around the car, telling her to give him the boy, as he referred to me as the boy, because he was going to beat me. And it was because when he looked back, I guess I was resting my teeth. Again, I'm 3, and I'm resting my teeth on the side of the door. And my teeth might have made an impression or something. I wasn't biting it, but I was just sitting there like this. And that's why he slapped me, and then was probably going to severely hurt me. And but anyways, yeah, that guy hasn't been around for a long time. I kept him. I did not want him around my children. No. So,
Marcus, I appreciate your vulnerability with that. And it just goes to show you, right? Do you want to be a victim or a victor, right?
Right.
And you've always risen to the occasion. Like I remember the time we were working with that. I know we got to cut it off soon because you're going to go back to work. Remember the time that you called me from England and you got the flu. And you're like, Coach, get me that special water. We sent you like 4 days.
Flu. I had the friggin' bird flu. And and you got me that cluster water. And I thought I was dying. Like, I always have to cut weight and everything. I never left my hotel room. So when I got in there, it was coming out of me on every end. I didn't even have to go cut weight or do anything. And even on top of not cutting weight, you sent me a case of that. I drank the entire case and then over that 24 hours, and it pulled me through. And I ended up fighting Chris Lytle the next day.
Yep.
And we went to distance, and I won a unanimous decision.
Yeah.
So
thank God for that guy, Brian Hovey, because we would have never got it there. I'm still friends with him to this day.
Okay, good.
Well, Marcus, I know you got to go back to work, and I appreciate your time. It's 1:45.
Yeah.
Your time, brother. We'll stay in touch. Any closing remarks from Marcus, let him know. You can find him you still got the same website as the Irish Hand Grenade or Marcus Paul Davis?
No, you can actually reach me if you go to marcuspaulddavis.com. If you go to there, you can reach me. Also, all of my social media is under Marcus Paul Davis. So my Facebook and my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter, which I don't really use ever. I haven't used it in months. So I don't really reply or anything on there, but that's Irish Grenade, not Irish Hand Grenade. It's Irish Grenade at Twitter.
Awesome. All right, Marcus, I'll let you go back to work. I will talk to you shortly. Tell Laura I said hi, okay?
I will, buddy.
Thanks, brother. Peace out.
All right, man.
Tapum Cup.
Tapum Cup, Swati Cup.
Swati Cup. All right, fans, as you can see, here's a professional fighter who's almost 50 now, just fought recently, kind of got screwed. And, he's still doing the right thing, married to the same person. You heard the vulnerability in the story. So anybody, just because somebody's at the top of the heap and tough as nails and everything else doesn't mean they don't have vulnerability. And for you men out there, let's face facts. If you think, having vulnerability is weakness, you're wrong. You're totally wrong. Totally wrong. You think, when you look at PTSD, that's people crack, man. People go to war the whole 9 yards. You can crack on that stuff, and that's what happens. So don't think that vulnerability is not strength, because vulnerability is strength. So again, we're going to end the broadcast. Next week, we will have Tim Scott out, who is a Olympic Taekwondo legend, and wait to hear his story. Again, check out the book. There's Light in the Tunnel, How to Survive and Thrive with Depression. Yep, that was me. That's right. Try to commit suicide two times. 2019. It's a true story. It's raw and real, as my producer buddy knows. And that's my whole mission. My mission right now is I'm out there helping people to basically thrive who have suffered with mental illness or still struggling with mental illness, with proper exercise, proper nutrition, proper mindset programming. Check us out, BurmaKearns.com. Have a great day. See you at the top. And again, hold your vision, keep your passion, maintain and invest in your perseverance.